So it's quite funny, in my line of work, we're known as generalists because we don't necessarily have one concentration or one, I guess, preferred subject of what it is that we do. So I am an interpreter on a college, community college and university campus. And so some of the, I guess, classes that I get to interpret for really make me question what it is I know, if I really know what I know. I was in one of my classes as of recently, and so it basically made me question whether or not we've been colonized to believe or systematically influenced to believe what it is that we believe. So the class doesn't necessarily take a broad spectrum. It's more religious based as far as what our religions are as they pertain to Catholicism and the Catholicism belief. So the instructor is phenomenal. She's a fluent Spanish speaker. And so she comes up with terminology from the ancestors, meaning the Aztec, the Mayan time. So before the Spanish conquerors, or conquistadores as she calls them, come into play and take over what it was known as Mesoamerica. So she goes on to mention about a very powerful and strong image that is very, I guess, grassroots, very intertwined into what Mexican culture believes in, which is La Virgen Maria, or La Virgen de Guadalupe, Virgin Mary. She goes on to explain how the image of her, whether or not it was truly authentic to what it is that we believe in now. So for example, she said that it's a very strong possibility that the Spanish were the ones who created that image to influence and colonize the belief system of Christianity into what we now know as Catholicism. So she went on and elaborated, very, very intriguing. Mind you, at the time, I have to keep a really professional demeanor. My opinion is invalid when it comes to this course. I have to make sure I deliver the information in a fluent manner for the student to understand. She went on to explain all the different elements that compose La Virgen de Guadalupe. How the rebozo, or I guess the garter, the dress that she's wearing, how the colors in it symbolize specific meaning. How, if you really look at the detail into it, you'll see the stars, which symbolize the astronomy beliefs that they had back in those days. You'll see the, I guess, ray or a ray background signifies the sun, and how that relates to Aztec and Mayan culture, and how it could be that the Spanish used that to kind of install fear into the people they were taking over. We see the moon at the bottom of La Virgen de Guadalupe as well. So again, we see the connections of the stars, the moon, and the sun. She goes on to explain phrases from the Bible and how Juan Diego was the one who saw her for the first time, and how she kind of just disproves how that's not necessarily true. And so it just really made me contemplate and think about what it is that I've learned thus far in my culture. Again, growing up, I grew up in a somewhat Catholic household. However, I never really understood the meaning of what getting baptized meant, your first communion, or your confirmation, whatever it is that the protocol recalls for you to do. So again, it's funny that even though I'm in a line of generalist, it still makes you ponder and really think about what it is that we know or what it is that we don't know.